Jonny, you came with us on the Israel trip last year, and you know that we're planning another one. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much fun did you have?
You start with a fun question. It was really off the charts.
Right.
It took me by surprise. Obviously, I mean, the learning side of it, the experience was amazing, but it was fun. Yeah.
I think for me, one of the things I loved was there was a real sense of both pilgrimage and celebrating God. And we had some wonderful times of learning, but of worship and shopping and...
So the pilgrimage, the worship and the companionship. I think God brought people from such different spaces and places in their journey with God and into one space, and it was incredible how he transformed all of us in different ways, eh?
I know.
Yeah, it was really special.
Yeah.
So out of 10, 12. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, you are. So you made a comment to me about you wished you'd done this earlier as a pastor. Tell me about that.
Yeah. I started pastoring back in '89, and preaching was, I believe, the core of my calling. I wanted to be a biblical preacher, and I loved the Gospels.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time preaching the Gospels. And it was a lifelong dream. I always knew in my heart that something would happen to my preaching if I went to the land out of which these narratives emerged. And I'd never done it. And so 26 years later I had the opportunity, and I so wish I had done it at the beginning. I knew in my heart I should have, and I didn't. And I had all sorts of reasons why I shouldn't have, and I did. And you know, in our intro to preaching class here, John Tucker teaches before you start to engage a text exegetically, start with imagining it, and particularly narrative. Start feeling the wind, or smelling the smells, or imagining the sound of the water in the Sea of Galilee lapping up against it. You know, when you're reading this narrative, try and get your head into that space and build your messages out of those kinds of things. Well, I used to try and do that, and it was a lot of fun trying to do that. Now, even a year on from having gone with us all to Israel, I can smell those smells still, and I can hear the sounds, and I can feel the warmth. Just how hot it must have been in some of these, in a travel narrative. We talk about a travel narrative, it's now hot and exhausting for me, even just imagining what that must have been like in those experiences. So I think the extra dimension that it would add now, if I was to start my preaching again, would be phenomenal. I tell you the other thing that it would have helped me with my preaching noticeably in hindsight, and this took me by surprise. There were 3 occasions, I think a couple of them I was actually with you at the time, where I broke down in tears.
It's one of my most special moments, actually.
Yeah. I was just completely overwhelmed, completely taken by surprise, overwhelmed by the Holy Spirit. Being in a space where I recognized that I was touching, like excavated to first century level, I was touching stones that my Lord had stepped upon. And I'm there now. And it broke me in a really wonderful way. I just felt so close to Jesus, and so refreshed in my faith because of that. And it made me want to go and tell people about him. Do you know what I mean? So if I had a pulpit again like I used to back in the day, I'm not preaching as much now, it would add so much fire to that.
Great, thanks.